what you just saw is one of the many things you can do wrong as a monster in Project Playtime. Unfortunately, this game doesn't have a tutorial, making it more difficult for players to get started with the game, which is why we want to provide new and experienced players proper guides so you can get better at the game. Today, we'd like to welcome you to an advanced guide for the monsters.
Hello guys, it's me again, and it's Rico, and we're finally back after a long time, after a long break. And today we want to do the advanced monster guide, and we're gonna start just how like we did in the advanced survivor guide with a tier list of the sabotages, and we're gonna rank every sabotage, so you know which one you should run and which one not. So for the first sabotage, Rico will start and tell you what it does.
Okay, so the first sabotage is called, I believe, Shutdown. On every map, there's always two of these activators specifically for the sabotage. And when a monster activates the sabotage, it will turn off all the puzzles, and you will have to go to one of these breakers and repair them, so that you can again do the puzzles. It's a very simple sabotage. It's also a pretty good one. I would probably put it in the alright tier. What do you think?
I would agree on that. I would
Mhm.
agree on that because I think it is useful. It's not trash. You can run it, but there are better options, of course. Then the next one I'm gonna explain is a no pack. As you can see, like this pack icon with a X above it, and like this sabotage, it disables like the survivor's grab pack for 25 seconds. And while this might sound strong because your grab pack is the only thing you can use to close doors, to use swings, to do puzzles, this is actually really trash because if you're close to another survivor, this is just useless because you can repair the grab pack of another player close to you by pressing E. So this is just completely trash. It also has a way too long cooldown for what it does. I would never use it if I was you because there are like just way better options.
Yeah, this is one of the worst options. Like, the idea of the sabo, like you said, is might seem interesting, but for what it actually does, it is not worth it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
I'm I'm gonna explain the next sabotage, which is called No Escape. Now, I can already tell you that this is one of the best sabotages in this game. What it does is, whenever you activate it, it disables all the crash door. It shuts them immediately. It disables all the swings on the map and also opens up all the lockers. And this sub, I'm pretty sure, is active for about 40 seconds. And
mhm,
because of that, it makes it one of the strongest sabos. Unlike the one previously, where it disables the grab pack, but it can be easily fixed and the cooldown is way too long. No Escape actually has a shorter cooldown. I cannot tell you how exactly, but it definitely has a shorter one. And for that reason, I will put it in the best tier. It is a very good sabo for pretty much all the monsters.
yes, I would agree with you. It's just no pack, but without the downsides, it's just the upgraded no pack in my opinion, and
Mhm.
probably the best and most versatile sabotage you can run in the whole game. You can run it on every monster, and it's good. It will always have value for you. So the next sabotage I'm going to talk about is called Living Nightmare. And what this sabotage does, it adds a fog in the game that the survivors can't see through. So you can sneak onto them and you can get close to them without them seeing you. This especially is useful, of course, against players who are a bit better, who will start running as soon as they see you as monster coming. But on the other hand, this also against survivors who really use their ears and they hear you, they can just by sound make out where you are and if you're coming close to them. So I would say it has some uses, but it's not the best. So I would probably say all right. What do you say, Rico?
Yeah, this is probably a good spot for where you can put the sabotage. It has a
Yes.
pretty nice use, but it's not one of the best because you can actually hear the monster and their footsteps.
Yes, yes.
Okay, the next one I will explain is called the Feeding Frenzy. What this sabotage does is when you activate it, it will immediately send every downed specialist to any feeding pit, a random one. Um, this is a pretty interesting sabo. I would put it in the niche tier, specifically because this sabo is very good on Boxy, because you can down survivors much faster than any other monster, and when you down them, you can immediately use the sabo, and everyone who's been downed or is already on the ground will be sent to the feeding pit. And yeah, it's a pretty good one. I'll put it in niche.
Yes, I agree on that because like it completely removes the downtime you have of carrying a survivor to the feeding pit, so you can keep applying pressure on the map and keep scaring off survivors and preventing them from doing puzzles. And especially on Boxy, as you said, it's really strong because of his dangerous potential, how quickly he can kill survivors. So I would agree with Niche. So the last sabotage we see here is called Booby Trap, and I'm not sure what it even does. Like you can tell by that, you can tell it's really bad. But I think it traps 4 puzzle pillars on the map, and if you try doing a puzzle there, the monster will get a notification where you are. And also you will get a small amount of damage, like 20 damage, around 20 damage. But even though this might sound alright, it's really bad because of alone of the perk Punching Bag that survivors can use, which is one of the most used perks by good survivors because it just allows you to take one more hit. And the perk completely counters the sabotage because you won't get damage through your punching bag. Your punching bag will be used, and by the time the monster gets to you, you usually have another punching bag. So this sabotage is just completely trash. I would never use it, and yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree on that one. It's really pointless. If uh, if the punching bag wasn't in the game, then it could be an interesting one possibly, maybe with some buffs. But like you said, punching bag comp like this. Did I say that right? Punching bag or the shield? I'm just gonna call it the shield. It completely counters it because it's a rechargeable perk, so you can tank through the hit very easily and just does nothing.
Yes. So, guys, this is our final tier list. And yes, you can take a screenshot of if you want. And yes, that's it.
Yeah, and add on top of the tier list, I think we could explain also what is probably the best sabotage for each monster. I'm
Yes.
gonna start off with the basic Huggy. Huggy is a pretty slow killer, and also his damage input is pretty decent, but he's really slow. He also has the dash, but still, I think that's not enough. Survivors can always use the speed boost with b-hopping and get a lot of distance. So for him, definitely would be no escape, because if you can actually close the door on someone and follow up with a few hits to even just shorten the chase, or if you have the dash available, you can instantly kill them.
Yes. I would also say so that it's the best for him. The next monster, Mummy Longlegs. On her, I would always use no escape if I was you. You could maybe also run something like Shutdown or Living Nightmare because everything in the right here you can run. But I don't think it's worth running on her because like her biggest weakness just simply are the handles, are the doors, because you can jump through the vents, so vents can slow you down. And if you can also close the doors then and disable the handles, then you have like 45 seconds where the survivor can't gain distance on you, which is really strong. And this is why I would always use the sabotage on Mummy. And so I would recommend you to use it on it.
Yep, definitely. Those two are probably one of the slower killers. Mommy is a bit faster because of her grabbing ability, but by far the monster with the most movement in this game is of course Boxy. That's why he will benefit really well from Feeding Frenzy, because since he's really fast, he also has a grab ability to finish chases very fast. He can really gain a lot of pressure from just killing a lot of survivors really, really fast in a short period of time, and then leaving them and using Feeding Frenzy to basically remove his whole action of putting someone into the pit. Now, yeah, I know we know about the phase 3 bug where you can actually use your charge and pick up someone at the same time, but this is still a really good sabo, and I would consider it one of the best. You can also use No Escape if you're more of an inexperienced player to help you learn a bit, but if you're a really good boxy and an efficient one, then Feeding Frenzy is the way to go.
Yeah, I would also agree with this. And yes, so this is our final tier list, and you know which sabotage you should run on every monster now. So yes. I'm gonna start by talking about Huggy. So, what's the best way to play with Huggy? The first thing you want to do with Huggy is you always want to b-hop. If you don't know how to b-hop, I would recommend you to watch our first video. There we explained how to bind your jump to your mouse scroll wheel. And if you have that done, or if you already have it done, then you can come back to this video and continue watching. Now, why do you want to always b-hop? Well, firstly, it's harder to hear you if you're continuously b-hopping with Huggy. Survivors won't hear you coming as easily as if you're walking. Now I want to talk about Huggy's two abilities. He has a dash, which you can use by pressing shift, and he has his mini Huggies, which you can use by pressing E. Now I'm gonna start off with the mini Huggies. How do the mini Huggies work? You place them down, and if a survivor gets close to them, you will get a notification and know exactly where a survivor is because the Huggy will scream and alert you. Now how do we use these mini Huggies in the best way as a good Huggy? Well, there are two places really where you can use them. The first place is you can put them very close to puzzle pillars. This is great because survivors will be scared of doing a pillar and often will be a bit slower doing a puzzle because they are scared of you detecting them and coming to the puzzle pillar as soon as they will be seen by the mini Huggy. And the other best place to place a mini Huggy is in small hallways or in small vents for example. So if you are on chase with a survivor, you will always know where they went. Or if there's like a walkway where survivors have to go often, you can also place a mini Huggy there and you will always know if there's a survivor there. So what's our conclusion? We want to put mini Huggies either to puzzle pillars or in very small areas where you will always know if a survivor is passing them. Now, Huggy's Dash is a one-shot ability, so you should be very careful when you use it. Because of it being so strong and being able to one-shot survivors, it has a very long cooldown. So how do we use this dash in the best way? First thing I want to talk about is you shouldn't start dashing when you get close enough to a survivor immediately, especially if it's a good survivor. Because in phase 3 there is a bug where survivors can crouch down and they will completely dodge your dash. Otherwise they can also roll to the side if you let them enough time to react. So it's a very bad idea against survivors to instantly start dashing as soon as you see them, or close enough to reach them with a dash. Instead, you want to look what the survivor is doing. If the survivor is expecting you to dash when you get closer and is continuously crouching, then you just hit them. Don't use your dash, you're gonna waste it. Just chase them and hit them because they will be a lot slower by always crouching. If you get close enough to a survivor though, and they don't crouch, then you can actually dash because they won't have enough time to react and to crouch down, so you get a kill. So this is how you can utilize your dash to the best use with Huggy. Now to the loops you want to avoid with Huggy. With Huggy it's very important that you always know which loop or which chase you should commit and take, or which chase you just let it go and leave and go to another survivor. Huggy has probably the worst movement out of all monsters in the game and is probably also the worst monster in our opinion. So with Huggy you always have to be ready to leave a chase As soon as a survivor gets, for example, to a strong door or goes to a strong vent and you don't have your dash and you don't have, for example, your no escape sabotage, then I would recommend you to leave the chase because it's more worth to look out for other survivors. So in general, loops to avoid this Huggy, you just have to be careful of loops with a lot of vents because you can't really do much against a lot of vents. And you should also look out for doors, of course, if you don't, and for swings if you don't have your sabotage ready. Now, to special Huggy techs that I want to talk about and mechanics that you can utilize to instantly get better on him. These are some tricks that we found out. So there are two mechanics I want to talk about for Huggy. The first one is called long jumps and the second one is called vent dashing. So I'm gonna start off with the long jumps. What is a long jump? It's basically just when you approach a pit with a handle above it where survivors can grab onto and go to the other side. You can dash so that your dash ends at the start of the pit, and if you scroll down your scroll wheel, if you already have b-hopping installed, you should be able to jump to the other side of the pit. Now, this can be useful if you're chasing a survivor with, for example, who's on 1 HP and you can one-shot them with a hit, then it's worth using. But it's hard to do, so you have to practice it a bit at the start, but it's consistent if you know how to do it. So it's good to catch a survivor off guard if they are like 1 HP or maybe 2 and they aren't close to any obstacles, you can get a kill. However, I wouldn't recommend it if a survivor is nearly full HP, because usually they will get to a door, they will get to a vent, and you don't have your dash anymore. So in this cases, I wouldn't use it because there it's probably a stupid idea. Now, for the other big mechanic with Huggy, which is also in my opinion a lot stronger than the long jump, and especially against not so good players, it's nearly almost a free win if you can do it. So how is it called? It's called vent dashing. How does vent dashing work? Well, usually with Huggy, you can't dash in a vent, you should probably know. If you already have tried it, it won't let you dash while you are inside of the vent. So how can we prevent this and actually dash through a vent with one of Huggy's dashes? Well, firstly, you want to jump before entering a vent. You want to kinda jump onto the wall over the vent. Then as soon as you get inside the vent, you want to spam your crouch, like for me it's control. You want to spam that button and then you can scroll your scroll wheel, and if you hear a very awkward sound like Huggy jumping onto the ceiling of the vent for a long time, then you have got it. So then you can just dash inside of a vent, which is completely busted because you can just catch a lot of survivors off guard. It's super strong, for example in theater on the long vent down into the basement. You will get a lot of kills by utilizing it, so I would recommend you to practice it very soon. And it's actually not that hard to pull off as soon as you know how to do it. Now for the next monster, Mummy Longlegs. What is the best way to play as Mummy? Now, with Mummy you always want to b-hop, just like with Huggy. The reason for that is simply the one that Mummy is a bit quicker if you b-hop, and also she's a lot quieter again, like Huggy, so survivors won't hear you as easily. And on the other hand, it's kinda a bug. I don't know if it's intended, I don't think so. If you continuously spam your jump with Mummy, you can go through vents without being slowed. You don't have to crouch down, you can just jump through them, which is completely busted because it removes one of the obstacles a survivor can use against you. It completely removes it, and if you use your sabotage, if you use no escape, then a survivor has no obstacle that he can use against you to gain distance. So always b-hop with Mummy if you want to play her in the best way. Now for her two abilities. She has a X-ray vision and she has a grapple. So how do we use both of these abilities to their best use case? For the X-ray vision, we only want to use this X-ray if we aren't in a chase right now with a survivor and we don't know where a survivor is, because you're gonna waste your ability if you use it while you know where a survivor is. It's not a good idea to use it in these scenarios, because it has a very long recharge time. I think even longer than Huggy's Dash. Only use it if you don't know where any survivor is right now, and you will get the most use case out of it. As soon as you used it, you're gonna see every survivor, and you should go for the one that is closest to you. I would recommend you to. Now for a grab ability. Her grab ability allows Mummy to grapple to any objects, to any obstacles on the map. And how you want to use this is you always want to grapple onto something. Because grappling and pulling yourself to something is faster than running or b-hopping. So how should this look? You should always try to grab to every single object, to every wall while in a chase. You should try to always be grappling onto something, so you get the best use case and you're the quickest. Now, for loops you should avoid as Mummy. Mummy is a very special monster. For her, I wouldn't actually avoid a loop unless you don't have a sabotage like no escape ready to use, because then survivors can just close the door on you, which Mummy is very vulnerable against. If you have the sabotage though, you can literally always chase a survivor. An exception I would make is if a survivor already has a lot of distance on you and it's very far away from you, then you should maybe overthink if you want to chase them and not go for an easier target. But you can still mostly get away with chasing them just because of the b-hop bug where you won't get slowed down in vents. So for Mummy Text, there isn't really anything special or like any mechanic you can use with Mummy that makes you a lot stronger or a lot more dangerous. I would just advise you to spam your grab and to continuously b-hop, and this is the best way to play as Mummy.
The next and last monster I will explain is of course Boxy. Now, unlike Huggy and Mommy, normal b-hopping doesn't work with Boxy because his jump is different. He jumps higher and descends slower, and his attack speed is faster at the cost of dealing lower damage. As for Boxy's abilities, he has two of them, technically three if you count the music box, which I will explain later. First ability is called the spring jump. If you hold down your shift key, you can start charging a spring jump, and when released, it lets you leap forward or upwards, depending where you're looking at. Also, the longer you charge it, the stronger it is, up to a certain point. Now, spring jumps are something you can actually b-hop with. Right as you land on the floor after a spring jump, you can b-hop, which gets you much more distance than a normal spring jump. Another thing is you can also use spring jumps to skip vents, almost exactly like Mommy. What I would recommend is to use spring jumps as often as you can in chase and for mobility. Since specialists have a hit speed boost in phase 3, using your spring jumps more often will help you close down the distance. His next ability is the grab. If you press right click, you can shoot a grab attack. If aimed at a specialist, you can pull them towards you, and if you don't hit them after grabbing, they will be instead slowed down for a short period of time, and then this ability goes on a short cooldown. Now, this attack requires some precision and patience. It is best used when a specialist is going through somewhere where it's much harder to dodge, and if they're closer to you. For example, if a specialist is about to enter a vent, or go under a crash door, this is where you want to be patient to avoid missing. Also, using the grab on a specialist that is really far away is something I would avoid. It is much harder to hit something like that, because the specialist can just react in time and move away. The last thing I can recommend when using the grab is try to use it after you've gotten a few hits on the specialist already. If you get a few hits beforehand, without using your grab, you can have it ready for when the specialist starts getting distance from the speed boost, and if they make it to a door or a vent, you will have it ready and you can just put them away from it. Now, the last sort of ability is his music box, which plays during the whole game, that gets louder and faster the closer you are to a nearby specialist. This is something that I wouldn't disregard. It can be pretty helpful to getting specialists. Now, for Boxy stacks, he only has one but a really helpful trick called the crouch leap, or crouch dash, whatever you want to call it. How it works is if you correctly time holding down your crouch button and charging your spring jump at the same time, you can essentially keep your smaller crouching hitbox while still being able to spring jump. Though, you have to remember to keep holding down your crouch button even after you release your spring jump, because if you let go, you technically are no longer crouching, and so you lose the smaller hitbox. This trick is generally very useful because you are less likely to get stuck while dashing, and it allows you to jump through some spots that are normally impossible or near impossible. The last thing I can talk about is the loops to avoid as Boxy or when to give up chasing. Boxy is the strongest monster in this game, making most loops not as scary for him if played right, which is why I don't have any specific loops that are annoying, with one exception of the so-called bias chair loop on theater, right in the middle of the map, where you can get stuck a bit. The only tip I'd give is if you are having too much trouble catching one person, then it is best to leave them and go for an easier or more vulnerable target.
So guys, this was our guide how to play every monster like a pro. I hope you liked it and that you learned something. If you want to get really good in this game and are a competitive player or want to become a competitive player, then you can join the Discord. It's linked in the description of the video. There, Rico and me will offer free coaching for you, and you can send us clips and we will tell you what you can improve and what you should improve to get better in the game. We would also appreciate a like and even a subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching, guys. Our next video will probably be some gameplay, so we can show you how to play like a pro, how it looks. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.